Welcome to Mom and Mind, a podcast about maternal mental health, from conception to pregnancy and postpartum. Real stories from moms and family members who have made it from struggling to wellness, and interviews with experts and advocates who work for moms and families to get the help they need. We discuss very real struggles that can sometimes be hard to hear, but these are stories that need to be told so that moms and families can know that healing is possible. This podcast is meant to offer information and awareness and is not a replacement for treatment by a professional. Thank you for being with us today. This episode touches on topics that may be sensitive for some listeners. Welcome to Mom and Mind. I'm your host, Dr. Kat. I'm very happy to welcome Rachel Bowers to our program today. Rachel is a licensed independent social worker with a background in behavioral health counseling. She's also the co-founder of an online mentoring program for moms called Moms Mentoring Moms. She currently writes at fullmotherhood.com on emotional wellness for mothers. She lives in Melbourne, Australia with her husband and 2-year-old son. Welcome, Rachel. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm delighted to have you, and I'd love to find out more about you and your story and what brought you to this work.
Awesome. Thank you. So I had my son about 2 years ago. And even though I had been in behavioral health and I worked with teens and children and their families, I kind of had a new interest and respect for maternal mental health because of my own personal struggles after my son was born. So I have kind of been an anxious person most of my life. And I even have these memories from when I was little. I remember I would go to bed at night, and it's probably I was 5 or 6, and I put all of my stuffed animals on my bed to sleep with me. And when I would wake up in the morning, some of them would be on the floor, and I would just have this intense anxiety, oh my gosh, what if some of them are mad at me now, or they don't feel as loved because they fell on the floor? And so, it's so funny how when you become more aware of your own issues as an adult, you start to see the patterns you had as a child that you never really thought of before.
Right.
So I kind of struggled with anxiety on and off throughout my life, particularly in graduate school. And that's when I actually started my own counseling journey. I've been in counseling several times to help with different points of my life where anxiety has become, more of a struggle for me.
Sure.
And after having my son, I kind of experienced a whole different level of it. It kind of changed for me.
Right.
It wasn't as so much the panicky feelings that I would get in graduate school about the stress or the grades or any of that. It was much more I feel so lost. I don't know what I'm doing. Am I causing harm to my son because I'm not sure what to do? And I think a lot of that really began with breastfeeding for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen this in a lot of other moms when I've ran support groups for mothers. Breastfeeding seems to be one of the first decisions we make as a parent after birth.
Right.
How are we going to nurture and feed our child, or nourish and feed our child? So I tried, I went into it with not a lot of expectations. At least I thought I didn't. I thought, I'm going to try this and I'm going to hope it works out and we'll see. And
Sure.
I started breastfeeding from the beginning, and at his 3-week appointment, he had not gained any weight after birth at all. And I asked the doctor, I said, can you give me one more week to really try this? And I'll try different things. I'll try to keep it going. I think for my son, he would fall asleep at the breast very easily, and I think that was a major problem. So I worked all that week. I felt like all I was doing was breastfeeding that week.
Right.
And we went back for the 4th week, and he hadn't gained anything. And the doctor said, it's time. We have to give him something else. He's not getting enough. And I remember being in that office and giving him his first bottle of formula. I mean, she wanted me to give it to him on the spot. And he sucked it down. He acted as if he hadn't really ate since birth. So I just remember that overwhelming guilt I felt in that moment of, oh my gosh, I haven't been nourishing you well. And I think that kind of launched me into some guilt, and then the anxiety about trying to get back to breastfeeding and trying to get it to work. So I kind of set myself on this mission I'm going to make this work, and I'm going to eventually get him off of formula. And I think what I didn't really realize is that I was just setting myself for a very uphill battle. And
Right.
I was going to lactation consultants. I was taking, I think, about 24 pills a day of herbal
Wow.
supplements that were
Mhm.
supposed to help me. And for any other moms out there that have struggled with breastfeeding, you might be uh, familiar with the herbal supplement fenugreek, but
Mhm.
it makes you smell like maple syrup. Everybody knows this. It's the most interesting
Mhm.
thing. So my husband would lay in bed next to me and he'd be like, "Oh my God, I just want pancakes." So, but I just really, I just, it consumed me. And I remember going to my first mother's group, a mother's group that I joined, and just so anxious about taking out that bottle of formula and
Right.
feeling like all these moms are going to judge me.
Oh.
And then I met a friend who took out a bottle of formula, and I just, went over to her and I stood next to her and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm not the only one."
Mhm.
And she was like, "Oh yeah, no, I didn't want to breastfeed, so I didn't." And she just had all this confidence and didn't care about the judgment. I just thought, oh, I really need to get
Wow.
to that place where I feel the same way.
Right.
So I decided at 6 months, after just, I mean, he was pretty much just getting mostly formula, but I was still trying to fight this, of just
Mm.
round the clock pumping and crying a lot during the
Yeah.
day when I would only
Yeah.
get those 1 ounce out of pumping.
Mhm.
Um, I just realized I think I'm fighting this battle more for me and what it means to me, and less for what
Mhm.
it means for my son. And that's when I
Wow.
kind of realized this is not the path for me right now. I
Mhm.
need to stop, because I will be a better mother when I release this stress and stop putting this pressure and judgment on me.
Right.
And I've met a lot of women that have had the same journey. And I think that, we just need to start having different conversations about what it means to make decisions that are not only best for you as a mom, but what's best for your child as well. And I think what I realized in that moment was what I wanted for my son was not the best for him, that I
Mhm.
had to redefine what was
Right.
best for him, not based on my own values of wanting breastfeeding to work. Because I think what it was really about was me making me feel better.
Sure.
And he just needed nourishment. And he really didn't care whether or not he got the breast or formula. He just wanted to be full. So, uh,
Right.
so I think that that really led me to having this appreciation for the importance of maternal mental health, and
Right.
led me to change directions in my profession, and start, trying to carve out that niche for myself as a therapist.
Right. Wow. So I do want to get into that in just a minute, into your profession. But I have to say, you're right. I've heard this kind of path and story from a lot of moms too. And I'm just so thankful that you're sharing it. And I really hope that our listeners can hear this. There's such debate out there, the breast is best, and all of that stuff really adds to the pressure. And I wonder how much the messaging from outside contributed to your guilt.
Yeah, and I think that did play a role. I think I heard moms say, there really isn't any reason that a woman shouldn't be able to breastfeed.
Mhm.
And I remember going to a breastfeeding support group, after I started supplementing. And the lactation consultant, when I had told her that I had to start supplementing based on the recommendations from my doctor, said, "Oh, those doctors don't know what they're talking about. They don't want liability, so they just, make you do this and make you nervous about it when really your baby's probably doing just fine." So I said, "Okay, well, why don't we weigh him after and we'll see how much he's getting." So I breastfed for, I think, 45 minutes.
Mm.
And after we put him on the scale, he had gained less than, like, one, I mean, not even an ounce. And she
Wow.
looked at me and she goes, "Oh, maybe it's time that you supplement." And I thought,
No.
"Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Well, so,
Right.
but so I think that there's always this initial judgment and emotional response to breastfeeding. I think that
Right.
there's a difference between educating people and shaming people. And,
Hmm.
also a difference, I think, in whether or not something might be the best. I think from the get-go as mothers, we have to understand that we're not always going to be able to give our kids the best. You
Right.
can't raise a perfect child, but I think for moms, it's the first thing that they do. So they want it to be perfect. And when it's not,
Oh,
their world comes crumbling down. That's how I felt, it
right.
happened to me.
Oh, that's devastating. Oh, wow. So, thank you so much for sharing that. I know your story and what you're sharing is going to be helpful to so many people. And it also sounds like in that moment you were able to maybe educate the lactation consultant just
Mhm.
slightly that, there are these other possibilities out there.
Absolutely.
And while she's probably doing the best that she can do, we can't have all of the information all of the time.
Mhm.
It sounds like you were also able to help her have another perspective about it.
I hope so. I hope so. And I'm not saying that there are judgmental, all lactation consultants are judgmental. I think it's
Sure.
just time to change that conversation. I went to a different support group, a lactation support group. And when I told the woman that I had been supplementing, she just looked at me right in my eyes and she said, "That's great. You're doing whatever you need to do to help keep your baby
Oh,
safe and healthy." And I just,
fantastic.
it was like, in that moment, I felt like the light shone down upon me and I just felt at
Right.
peace. So
Wow.
I think women, people that work with mothers and lactation consultants, doctors, nurses, I think they just have to remember the power of the way that they deliver messages to women, um,
Absolutely.
and the way in which you say things has such an impact on us because we're in such a vulnerable state at that point in our lives. So
Right. Right. Wow. So obviously you went through a lot and it was a difficult time and it sounds like it also propelled you to change your career path slightly
yes,
or a lot.
yeah.
Can you can you tell me more about that?
Sure. So part of I was working part time as a therapist after my son turned about 6 months, but I was working again with children like I always have. And then an opportunity for my husband came up to relocate to Australia for a year. And we decided,
Mhm.
when are we going to get this opportunity to do something like this again in our lives? So we're just going to take it. So,
Right.
when I came here, I started feeling like, oh, okay, so I can't work. What am I going to do with my professional energies? And
Right. Yeah.
so I decided, you know what, I'm going to just go into maternal mental health. I had been running some support groups for moms back home, um, just as a volunteer thing. And so I decided to start uh, earning my maternal mental health certification from Postpartum Support International and 2020 Mom. It's a collaboration between the two organizations. So I've been
Hmm.
doing that for the last couple months, and I actually finish up that course, I believe, this week, and we'll
Fantastic.
have that. Yeah, so I'm very excited. Um, and then I started blogging about emotional wellness as a way to inspire other moms and to also kind of dig deeper into the maternal mental health work, and trying to be more of an advocate. And
Hmm.
through that process, I had connected with another blogger named Julia Henricks, who has a blog called Projects in Parenting. She has a guidance counseling background, and she was writing a lot of really interesting perspectives on parenting that really just I connected with. So we
Hmm.
started talking and just messaging back and forth. And one day she calls me or she messages me and she goes, "Can you call me?" And I go, "Okay." So I call her up and she goes, I had this idea. What if we start an online mentoring program for moms? And I thought, well, that's an amazing idea.
Right. It
so,
is.
so that's kind of led us to found the organization together, and I think it's been such an amazing experience to try to build an organization from the ground up, and I've been so blessed to experience other mothers sharing their vulnerabilities with us and asking for help.
Oh, that's amazing. So this is online and Moms Mentoring Moms. And I believe that can be found through the fullmotherhood.com website.
Yes. Mhm.
So can you tell me a little bit about how does Moms Mentoring Moms program work?
Sure. So what you do is if you go to fullmotherhood.com and click on the Moms Mentoring Moms page, there'll be an application form that you can fill out as a mentee or a mentor. And we don't have any requirements when it comes to what it takes to be a mentee or a mentor. As long as you're a mom, and that means any kind of mom. If you're a stepmom, if you're a adoptive mom or a foster mom, it doesn't really matter what walk of motherhood you come from or what lifestyle you come from. We're open for anybody that wants to either share their wisdom as a mentor or get support as a mentee. So after you fill out an application, within the next 30 days, we're starting new cohorts every month. In the next 30 days, you'll probably get an assignment for your mentee or mentor, depending on what you chose. And then you can start our 15-week program. So that involves, we have a Facebook group that we disseminate the information, but we also have an email newsletter in case that you're not on Facebook. And the curriculum involves different topics related to motherhood that will help guide your mentoring sessions. So some topics like self-care, overcoming disappointment, which we've been kind of talking about today, renegotiating the roles that you have in your life, formulating a new identity as a mother, and any type of marriage or relationship issues that come across after becoming a mother. So those are some ideas about what our curriculum offers, and it comes with an inspirational post and then some guided discussion questions that you and your mentor can talk about. So once each week for those 15 weeks, you meet online with your mentor and your mentee, and that's done in any medium that you decide. So whether it's Skype, phone, texting, Facebook messaging, it's whatever the mentor and mentee decide. And we just ask that they spend 30 minutes each week talking about the curriculum, talking about their current struggles, and gaining support from one another.
Then the mentor and the mentee go through the training portion of the program?
Not the training. We offer a mentor training, and that's just giving mentors some information on what to do in certain situations and listening. But in terms of the curriculum, yes, they kind of both go through it together, but the mentor has the role of kind of offering support to the mother. And we pair mentees and mentors based on a set of areas of competence that the mentors feel that they have some wisdom and some experience in, and then the needs that the mentee has, that they identify in their application form. We also sometimes figure in some lifestyle factors. We have a lot of moms with multiples in our group right now, so we try to pair moms with multiples with other moms with multiples because we think that's a unique experience. Or working moms we try to pair together because we also think that's a unique experience that is important to kind of have that shared connection.
That is really great. Can you say a little bit more about the pairings? What other types of pairings? I think it would be useful for people to be able to see how it could be applicable to them.
Absolutely. So we have kind of a special populations area on our application page that helps us understand if you have a unique perspective in your motherhood that we would like you to find a mentor that shares that. So that could be a military mom, it could be an expatriate mom, kind of like myself. You're maybe in a foreign country raising your child and you're away from your support system. LGBT moms, we think that that's a very important population that we want to make sure that they feel at home and comfortable in our program, and then also with their mentor. And then also moms with multiples, adoptive moms or foster moms. And we also welcome young moms as well. So at this point, we're only taking moms over the age of 18, but we also feel that if you had your child as a very young mom, that's a unique experience as well, we are also looking for mentors that share that same experience.
That's fantastic. That's such a great resource and a really, really good idea, but also it sounds like you guys are giving them support throughout the process.
Absolutely.
So how do you interface with the program once people are in the program?
So we share the curriculum content, do a Facebook Live video once a week, and then we also, if you're in the Facebook group, we have other things that we provide throughout the week. So Q&As or questions of the week, other resources and articles that we think are helpful to moms. So our biggest role is kind of disseminating that information and giving you that support. And then on top of that, we're also there for any issues that arise in mentor and mentee relationships. If something were to come up and a mentor, just can't complete the program with their mentee, we would obviously reassign. We're also there to give the mentors support. So if the mentors, might not really be sure how to help the mother or need some extra resources, we have a resources file full of, postpartum depression resources for moms that might be struggling financially, resources for moms that might be suicidal or experiencing domestic violence. We have those also that we can provide the mentors and the mentees if they need some additional support. And then I think, we're just also there for the emotional support of the program. If other moms
Mhm.
just need some help, they can use the Facebook group for some extra support from the mothers, or even just message myself or Julia individually, and we can help either point them in the right direction with resources or just add some extra support.
You guys have thought about so many different ways to support mothers who often feel isolated by their experience, and just this whole list of categories and life situations where a mom could need some additional support. It's a fantastic resource,
Thank
and a great way to be thinking about how to be offering support to match people with people who've had experience and can support them through this really challenging time.
Absolutely. And I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to create some relationships that go beyond a normal mommy Facebook page.
Right.
What we
Yeah.
really care about and what our vision and value is having authentic and intentional relationships among mothers. If you're in a
Right.
Facebook mommy group, you might post a question and you don't know who's going to reply, and you don't know if they're
Right.
going to be judgmental because they don't know you. And
Right.
even though you might not meet your mentor ever in person, because we are an international program and we have over
Mhm.
39 moms from, I think, about 15 US states and 3 countries, um,
Nice.
we just believe that there can be an authenticity in those online relationships when a person is taking on the commitment of being a support for you, not just a passive commitment of maybe whenever I see you on Facebook I'll message you, but more of a this is our 30 minutes, this is our dedicated 30 minutes each week to provide that extra support. And I wanted to add too, in terms of the special population, something that we're seeing from some of the mentees that I don't know if we really thought about before is how many of these moms are saying, I'm really shy, or I struggle with social anxiety, and it's hard for me to get out, it's hard for me to meet new people. So this
Mhm.
provides an opportunity for people that struggle with in that area to get some support that isn't maybe as anxiety provoking as a face-to-face mentor. It's an ability for them to have a little bit more control and a little bit more of their own space and comfort, but still get support from another mom.
That is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I think that's such a good thing for the moms. I mean, I do hear a lot in my own work, the moms who don't want to be sharing their stuff. They don't want to be in Facebook groups. They don't want to be in groups, period.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to find somebody who can identify with them on this really significant and potentially deep level is could potentially be life changing for them.
Yeah, I
Um,
hope so.
wow. So you mentioned that as one thing you're kind of finding out as the program is getting going. Are there other things that you've seen or heard about happening through these relationships?
We're just starting. We just had our first week. We just launched yesterday with the first week so our first group
Fantastic.
starting. Yeah, thank you. So we haven't seen the mentor-mentee relationships unfold yet, but we're going to definitely be very keen to ask how the relationships are going and to make sure that we're fine-tuning the program as we go, what's working and what's not. But I can
Hmm.
say, another thing that I've noticed from and I just think that this is kind of interesting from a psychological perspective. I think that we've had a little bit of a struggle more with finding mentors than mentees. And
Hmm.
when we went into this, Julia and I thought we're going to have way more mentors than mentees. And I think we just kind of had that idea that people have more difficulties being vulnerable and asking for help rather than
Hmm.
stepping in and saying I can help. But we found the exact opposite. And I think that just speaks to mothers and how difficult
Hmm.
is for us to feel like we're experts or to feel that we have wisdom to share. I think when you're a
Wow.
mom and you're not sure what you're doing, you feel maybe I don't have anything to offer to this program, or I'm not, I don't really know what I'm doing, or I just yelled at my kids yesterday. I can't be a mentor. So we want to really
Oh.
drive home the point that we're not looking for the perfect mom because we know that doesn't exist. We're just looking for moms that feel like they've gone through something, they have a story to share, they have some wisdom that they've experienced from their stories, and they can offer that support. You don't have to have experienced some specific struggles to be a mentor in our program. We're just asking for you to be there for another mom, to offer that support and to listen. So we want to make sure that when we're looking for mentors, that they understand that we're looking for mom experts. We're just looking for moms that just want to listen and give some support.
I think that's a fantastic point. You hit the nail on the head. I think, right. We don't feel if we don't feel like we're the perfect mom. A lot of us feel like, well, either we're a bad mom or we're just not good enough. So how can I be helping other people? But that is such a powerful point, just for moms in general, but also to be able to help other moms, right?
Absolutely.
So you're really just looking for people who can be real, who feel like they can be supportive,
Mhm.
but not necessarily be an expert.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not looking for moms to know exactly what to do or say, and hopefully our curriculum provides that extra guidance if you feel that you need something to refer back to in your mentoring sessions. We're just looking for moms to listen because I think a lot of us just, I mean, I think the most powerful thing for me when I was going through all of those breastfeeding issues was just finding somebody that understood and finding
Right.
somebody that never judged me, whether or not they breastfeed or formula fed, but they just didn't pass that judgment on to me and made me feel less alone. You know, I made a couple of friends in my mom's group that were breastfeeders, but the acceptance they showed me and how they would just say, "I'm just so sorry you're going through this, Rachel. You know, you're being so hard on yourself, and you're such a great
Mhm.
mom." Just hearing those things it made all the difference for me. And that's all you need to know, you know, when you're a mentor. Just listen and just provide that extra support and just that caring nature. We all have something to give.
Absolutely. And this kind of, this is a different way that you guys have come up with around building a support system and building community is really, on some level, the kind of village mentality of
Mm-hmm.
just at some point in time, somebody would guide us through this, whether it was our, in the past, whether it was our own mothers or the matriarch of our community or our grandmother or something. And a lot of us these days are isolated and don't have that immediate support, or don't have someone to just bounce ideas off of or just speak our mind to. Also, I imagine this being really useful for the population of folks who need the support but can't afford therapy or don't have insurance at the moment or anything like that. Can you speak to any of that, like the accessibility of the program?
Yeah, yes, it's completely free. There's no, you know, we're not soliciting anything through this program. We're currently using our blog pages to host our curriculum, but the only reason we're doing that is because we have to get the resources together to create our own website first. We wanted to get this program
Hmm.
started as soon as we can, so we hope that in the near future we will have our own website launched. Yes, so it's completely free. And I mean, all you need is an internet connection and an email address, and that's pretty much all that we're asking moms
Wow.
to have. You know, we're not, our service is not intended to be offered in place of counseling,
Right.
and we will do the best we can to provide resources and referrals for mothers that we feel might benefit from counseling. And we'll do everything we can to help facilitate that for the moms that identify that need during our program.
Right.
But I do think yes, it's a great thing for moms also, you know, moms that don't have accessibility to that type of service, and then also maybe for moms that you know, maybe would be too vulnerable or feel too vulnerable to do that face to face with somebody, or to,
Hmm.
you know, there's a lot of people that don't go to counseling because they don't want to tell their husband they're going to counseling, or they don't want to tell their family that they're going to counseling. And
Right.
sometimes what I hope this program is that for the moms that do have more of those serious maternal mental health struggles, that maybe this program is the first step of recognizing their need for help. Maybe it's the first
Uh-huh.
step that launches them to go and get that extra professional support.
Wow. This fills such a gap and such a need. And I'm so excited about the project and the program that you've developed. I really am happy to hear more about it and to be able to share it with a lot of people, who can then share it with somebody else. Those people who need the support and need the encouragement of somebody else who's been through it. It's just you can't just randomly ask people on the street
No,
for
no,
that kind of support.
no,
So
you can't, unfortunately.
no, no. So this is fantastic. what I'd like to do also is to just point people to all of the places that they can connect with you guys on social media and on your website. So you're at fullmotherhood.com, FULLMOTHERHOOD.com. And where can people find you on social media?
So we actually have our own Facebook group for Moms Mentoring Moms. So if you go into Facebook and search Moms Mentoring Moms, there should be a closed group. So if you just request, you can request to be in our group. You don't have to necessarily at this point have filled out the application for a mentor or mentee. We have some also for professionals. We do have some professionals that are in our group that might chime in with some extra resources at some point too. So you can join us on Facebook, or you can go also access my Facebook page for my blog. Just search Full Motherhood or facebook.com/Full Motherhood.
Great. Well, again, thank you for being with us today and sharing all this fantastic information. This is such a great resource, and I'm so happy to be able to tell all of the listeners about the work that you're doing and how you guys are filling this gap and this need for moms to get that one-on-one support. I really, really thank you for your time, Rachel.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
By joining us today and listening, you're a part of the growing community of people who are aware and concerned for mothers and families during this beautiful and sometimes very difficult time of life. Please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review this free podcast so that Mom and Mind can be found by moms, families, and providers who will benefit from hearing our talks. If you or someone you know is having a hard time, help is available. Please look for resources for help at momandmind.com, where you will also find links and information from today's episode. Thank you for listening and being a part of the Mom and Mind community.